Hello friends, welcome to the brand new ultimate course on our channel which is focused around SysOps Administrator Associate exam from AWS. Let's start with first question of this part of the series. A company recently migrated its application to a VPC on AWS. An AWS site-to-site VPN connection connects the company's on-premise network to the VPC. The application retrieves customer data from another system that resides on-premise. The application uses an on-premise DNS server to resolve domain records. After the migration, the application is not able to connect to the customer data because of name resolution errors. Which solution will give the application the ability to resolve the internal domain names? Your options are launch EC2 instances in the VPC. On the EC2 instances, deploy a custom DNS forwarder that forwards all DNS requests to the on-premise DNS server. Create an Amazon Route 53 private hosted zone that uses the EC2 instances for name servers. Now the second option is create an Amazon Route 53 resolver outbound endpoint. Configure the outbound endpoint to forward DNS queries against the on-premise domain to the on-premise DNS server. And third option is set up two AWS direct connect connections between the AWS environment and the on-premises network. Set up a link aggregation group that includes the two connections and change the VPC resolver address to point to the on-premise DNS server. And folks, the fourth option is create an Amazon Route 53 public hosted zone for the on-premises domain. Configure the network ACLs to forward DNS requests against the on-premise domain to the Route 53 public hosted zone. Now folks, after migrating the application to AWS, it now resides in a VPC and its DNS queries by default are handled by the Amazon provided DNS, which is the VPC DNS resolver. And friends, since the application needs to resolve internal on-premise domain names, you need a way to forward those DNS queries from AWS to your on-premise DNS server over the site-to-site VPN. And Amazon Route 53 resolver outbound endpoints are designed exactly for this, making option B as the correct answer. Next question. A SysOps administrator notices that the cache hit ratio for an Amazon CloudFront distribution is less than 10%. The SysOps administrator needs to increase the cache hit ratio for the distribution, improve network performance, and reduce the load on the origin. Which combination of actions should the SysOps administrator take to meet these requirements? You need to choose two options. And your options are enable CloudFront origin shield for the required AWS regions, change the viewer protocol policy to use HTTPS only, add a second origin, create an origin group that includes both origins, activate CloudFront origin failover. Turn on automatic compression of objects in the cache behavior settings. Increase the CloudFront TTL values in the cache behavior settings. Now friends, the first action would be to enable CloudFront origin shield for required AWS regions, as it will add an additional layer of caching between the CloudFront edge locations and your origin. This should be followed by increasing the time to live value in cache behavior settings. This will control how long CloudFront keeps objects in its cache. A low TTL causes CloudFront to refetch objects more often from the origin, reducing the cache hit ratio. Third question. A custom application must be installed on all Amazon EC2 instances. The application is small, updated frequently, and can be installed automatically. How can the application be deployed on new EC2 instances? Your options are launch a script that downloads and installs the application using Amazon EC2 user data. Create a custom API using Amazon API Gateway to call an installation executable from an AWS CloudFormation template. Use AWS Systems Manager to inject the application into an AMI. Configure AWS code pipeline to deploy code changes and updates. Now friends, user data scripts run automatically at instance launch time. You can include a script in user data to download and install the application. Now, folks, there is a link on your screen. Go through the link to understand how you can utilize user data with Amazon EC2 instances. Next question. A company hosts an application on Amazon EC2 instances. The instances are in an Amazon EC2 auto-scaling group that uses a launch template. The amount of application traffic changes throughout the day. Scaling events happen frequently. A SysOps administrator needs to help developers troubleshoot the application. When a scaling event removes an instance, EC2 autoscaling terminates the instance before the developer can log into the instance to diagnose issues. Which solution will prevent termination of the instance so that the developers can log into the instance? Your options are: ensure that the delete on termination setting is turned off in the user data section of the launch template; update the auto-scaling group by enabling instance scale-in protection for newly launched instances; use Amazon Inspector to configure a rules package to protect the instances from termination; use Amazon Guard Duty to configure rules to protect the instances from termination. Now friends, instance scale-in protection is a feature in EC2 auto-scaling that prevents specific instances from being terminated during scale-in events. When a scale-in protection is enabled, the auto-scaling group skips these instances when choosing which ones to terminate during a scale-in. This will allow developers to log in and troubleshoot those instances without them being prematurely terminated. Next question. An application uses an Amazon Aurora MySQL DB cluster that includes one Aurora replica. The application's read performance degrades when there are more than 200 user connections. The number of user connections is approximately 180 on a consistent basis. Occasionally, the number of user connections increase rapidly to more than 200. A SysOps administrator must implement a solution that will scale the application automatically as user demand increases or decreases. Which solution will meet these requirements? Your options are: modify the DB cluster by increasing the Aurora replica instance size; modify the DB cluster by changing to serverless mode whenever the number of user connections exceed 200. Create an auto-scaling policy that has a target value of 195 for the database connections metric. Migrate to a new Aurora DB cluster that has multiple writer instances. Modify the application's database connection string. Now friends, modifying the DB cluster by increasing the Aurora replica instance size increases performance but does not scale automatically. It is a static solution and won't adapt to changing connection load. Now option B talks about Aurora serverless, but it does not support replicas or traditional scaling methods, so another incorrect choice. Amazon Aurora supports auto-scaling of Aurora replicas based on Amazon CloudWatch metrics like database connections, making it a correct choice to meet the given requirements. Now friends, option D involves Aurora multi-writer clusters, but this is primarily for write scalability and high availability, not read scaling. It will also require significant application changes to support multiple writers. Friends, if you are liking the content, do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe the channel. Let's look at sixth question of this part of the series. A company is running a development application on an Amazon EC2 instance. The application uploads 5 lakh files that are 1 GB in size into a target Amazon S3 bucket that has default encryption enabled. The EC2 instance is in the same AWS region where the S3 bucket is deployed. The company uses performance logging that is built into the application software. The logs show that the application is constantly waiting for the files to be written to the S3 bucket. A SysOps administrator needs to improve the application's throughput performance. The SysOps administrator validates that the networking on the EC2 instance is not constrained. What should the SysOps administrator do to improve the S3 upload performance? Your options are: enable S3 transfer acceleration on the S3 bucket, split the S3 write operations to use multiple bucket prefixes to write items in parallel, configure AWS private link for Amazon S3, turn off encryption on the S3 bucket, configure AWS Global Accelerator in the region, turn off encryption on the S3 bucket. Now friends, Amazon S3 scales performance based on object key names, which is prefixes. When many objects are written to a single prefix, performance can become a bottleneck. By splitting writes across multiple prefixes, S3 parallelizes operations across partitions in the backend, increasing throughput. Go through the link on your screen to understand the best practices for optimizing Amazon S3 performance. Now friends, S3 transfer acceleration helps improve upload speed from globally distributed clients, not from within the same region. Private link is used for secure access from VPCs to services, so will not help in this use case. And AWS Global Accelerator is for improving availability and performance for global users. Before we proceed, folks, I would like to introduce you to my TopMate profile. If you are seeking guidance on clearing certification exams, considering a career transition into DevOps or cloud computing, or require support with resume reviews or mock interviews, you can easily schedule a one-to-one session with me via TopMate. You will also find digital products available for purchase, including PDF version of all the certification questions featured on the channel. PDF will be available for download instantly as soon as purchase is completed. For any specific queries, feel free to use the priority DM option. I will respond as soon as possible. Do not forget to take advantage of the tips and coupon codes available at the top of my TopMate profile to enjoy these benefits at minimal cost. Friends, link to my TopMate profile is available in the description section of this video. Next question. A company receives an alert from an Amazon CloudWatch alarm. The alarm indicates that a web application that is running on Amazon EC2 instances is not responding to requests. The EC2 instance have a Red Hat Enterprise Linux operating system and are in an auto-scaling group. The auto-scaling group has a minimum capacity of 2 and a maximum capacity of 5. An investigation reveals that the web application is experiencing out-of-memory errors. The company adds memory to the web application and wants to track operating system memory utilization. A CloudWatch memory metric does not currently exist for the EC2 instances in the auto-scaling group. What should a SysOps administrator do to provide a CloudWatch memory metric for the EC2 instances? Your options are: use an Amazon machine image that includes the CloudWatch agent, turn on CloudWatch detailed monitoring, turn on instance metadata service version 2, use an Amazon machine image that is based on Amazon Linux. Now folks, by default, Amazon CloudWatch does not collect memory utilization metrics from EC2 instances. To monitor memory and other OS level metrics like disk usage, you must install and configure the CloudWatch agent on your EC2 instances. Using an AMI that already includes the CloudWatch agent simplifies this setup. Now folks, let's understand why other options are incorrect. Turning on CloudWatch detailed monitoring enables 1-minute frequency for basic EC2 metrics like CPU, disk, and network. Turning on instance metadata service version 2 improves security for instance metadata access. And friends, Amazon Linux does not include the CloudWatch agent by default. You will still need to install and configure the CloudWatch agent manually. Next question. Users of a company's internal web application recently experienced application performance issues for a brief period. The application includes front-end web servers that run in an Amazon Elastic Kubernetes service cluster. The application also includes a backend Amazon Aurora PostgreSQL DB cluster that includes 1 DB instance. A SysOps administrator determines that the source of the performance issue was high utilization on the DB cluster. The single writer instance experienced more than 90% utilization for 11 minutes. The cause of the high utilization was an automated report that is scheduled to run one time each week. What should the SysOps administrator do to ensure that users do not experience performance issues each week when the report runs? Your options are: increase the size of the DB instance, monitor the performance during the next scheduled run of the report. Add a reader instance. Change the database connection string of the report application to use the newly created reader instance. Add another writer instance. Change the database connection string of the report application to use the newly created writer instance. Configure auto-scaling for the DB cluster. Set the minimum capacity units, maximum capacity units, and target utilization. Now friends, Amazon Aurora PostgreSQL supports read replicas that offload read traffic from the primary writer instance. Since the automated report is likely read heavy, running it on a reader instance will reduce load on the writer and avoid performance issues for other users. This approach is cost effective and leverages Aurora's high availability and scalability. Reader instances can serve read-only queries without affecting the write performance of the primary DB. Let's look at question number 9 of the series. A company has an application that uses Amazon DynamoDB tables. The tables are spread across AWS accounts and AWS regions. The company uses AWS CloudFormation to deploy AWS resources. A new team at the company is deleting unused AWS resources. The team accidentally deletes several production DynamoDB tables by running an AWS Lambda function that makes a DynamoDB delete table API call. The table deletions cause an application outage. A SysOps administrator must implement a solution that minimizes the chance of accidental deletion of tables. The solution also must minimize data loss that results from accidental deletions. Which combination of steps will meet these requirements? And friends, you need to choose two options. Now the options are: enable termination protection for the CloudFormation stacks that deploy the DynamoDB tables, enable deletion protection for the DynamoDB tables, enable point-in-time recovery for the DynamoDB tables, restore the tables if they are accidentally deleted, schedule daily backups of the DynamoDB tables, restore the tables if they are accidentally deleted, export the DynamoDB tables to Amazon S3 every day. Use import from Amazon S3 to restore data for tables that are accidentally deleted. Now folks, first of all, you should enable delete protection for the DynamoDB tables. This prevents the delete table API call from deleting the table even if a Lambda or IAM user tries to delete it. The deletion will fail if delete protection is enabled. Now this should be combined with enabling point-in-time recovery. Point-in-time recovery allows continuous backup of your DynamoDB tables for the last 35 days. If a table is accidentally deleted or corrupted, you can restore to any second within that time window. This ensures minimal data loss. Let's look at 10th question of the series. A company needs to implement a solution to install specific software on Amazon EC2 instances when the instances launch. Which solution will meet this requirement? Your options are: configure AWS Systems Manager State Manager associations to bootstrap the EC2 instances with the required software at launch, use the Amazon CloudWatch agent to detect EC2 instance start events and to inject the required software, modify the instance role IAM role to add permissions for the start task API operation. Use Amazon Inspector to detect EC2 launch events. Configure Amazon Inspector to install the required software as part of lifecycle hooks for the EC2 launch events. Use AWS Security Hub remediation actions to install the required softwares at launch. Now friends, AWS Systems Manager State Manager is a powerful service that allows you to automatically apply configuration settings or softwares on your EC2 instances at a startup or on a schedule. It ensures instance remains in a desired state, such as having specific software installed, integrate with tags, launch events, and instance profiles for fine-grained control. As always, there is a link on your screen. Go through it to understand AWS Systems Manager State Manager in more detail. So friends, that's all for first part of our AWS Certified SysOps Administrator Associate Ultimate course. We will see you in further parts of our series. If you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you are notified whenever the next part in the series is released.